Your sister is in the hospital and this, your sister is in the hospital and this is your fault. I was standing in the hallway outside the clinical trials unit at Massachusetts General Hospital, holding a tablet with patient data for a cardiovascular study I was coordinating. My badge was still warm against my chest from scanning into the secured floor. I just finished a meeting with Dr. Patricia Chen about recruitment targets for our Phase 3 trial. Excuse me? I said. Natalie overdosed, my mother said. Her voice was ice. Fentanyl. They found her unconscious in her apartment at 9:30 this morning. If you hadn't abandoned this family, if you'd been here to support her like a real sister, this never would have happened. My hand tightened on the phone. Through the window behind me, I could see the Charles River, gray and cold under March clouds. I'd walked along that river 7 years ago, the night after Natalie's graduation, the night I'd decided I was done. Where is she? I asked. Beth Israel Deaconess. I see you. Not that you care. My mother's breath hitched, but it wasn't grief. It was accusation. You always resented her success. You couldn't stand that she was better than you, smarter than you, more accomplished. And now look what you've done. Something inside my chest went very still, very cold. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said, and hung up. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I need to take you back 7 years. I need you to understand what happened at Agnes Arena on May 18th, because that's the day my family cut me open in front of 300 people and then walked away. It was Natalie's college graduation from Boston University. She was 25, finishing her master's degree in educational psychology with a 3.97 GPA. I was 20, working 2 jobs, mornings at a campus coffee shop called Brew Haven, nights shelving books at the Brookline Public Library, trying to scrape together tuition for my own bachelor's degree at UMass Boston. The arena smelled like floor wax and the dusty heat of stage lights. I sat in the family section, row G, seat 14, wearing a dress I'd bought at Goodwill and shoes that pinched my toes. My mother sat to my right in a cream silk suit. My father sat to her right in a charcoal blazer with the BU logo pin on his lapel. They hadn't looked at me since we'd arrived. When Natalie's name was called, Natalie Elizabeth Ramsey, Master of Education, magna cum laude. They stood and applauded. My father whistled. My mother had tears in her eyes, the proud kind, the kind I'd never seen her cry for me. After the ceremony, there was a reception in the arena's function hall, round tables with white cloths, champagne flutes catching light from the chandeliers. Natalie stood near the stage in her cap and gown, surrounded by relatives and family friends, glowing like she'd swallowed the sun. I was at the dessert table, putting a slice of vanilla cake on a plate, when my mother's voice rang out behind me. Everyone, everyone, if I could have your attention for just a moment. The conversations quieted, faces turned. My mother stood on the small stage platform, microphone in hand. My father stood beside her, his arm around Natalie's shoulders. Natalie looked surprised but pleased, her cheeks flushed pink. I just want to say a few words about my daughter, my mother said. Her voice was warm, full of that practice principle tone she used at school assemblies. Natalie has always been everything we could have hoped for. Brilliant, driven, compassionate. She's going to change the world, and we are so proud. Applause rippled through the room. I set down my cake plate. My hands had started to shake. You know, my mother continued, her smile widening, when Natalie was born, Michael and I thought we'd won the lottery. We had this perfect child, and we thought, why not try for one more? Give her a sibling. My stomach dropped. But sometimes, my mother said, and her eyes found mine across the room. You should trust your instincts. We should have stopped after her. She paused. The room was silent now, confused. Our second child is useless. The words hung in the air like smoke. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. 300 people were staring at me. My Aunt Ellen's face had gone white. My cousin Marcus looked at the floor. My father nodded, once, agreeing. Natalie looked uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything. She just looked away. I don't remember walking out. I don't remember the sound my heels made on the polished floor, or whether anyone tried to stop me. I remember the cold air hitting my face in the parking lot. I remember sitting in my 2003 Honda Civic with the check engine light on, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. I drove to the river. I sat on a bench near the esplanade until 11 o'clock at night, watching lights reflect on the water. And then I made a decision. I would not call them. I would not apologize. I would not try to fix what they had broken. I would disappear. The next morning, I changed my phone number. I deleted my Facebook, Instagram, everything. I moved from my apartment in Alston to a studio in Cambridge that cost $1,340 a month, which meant I needed to pick up more shifts. I stopped going to family events, stopped checking the mailbox for birthday cards that never came anyway, stopped hoping. My mother called my old number 47 times in the first 2 months. Then she stopped. My father never called at all. For 7 years, I was a ghost. But here's what they didn't know. I didn't just disappear, I rebuilt. I finished my bachelor's degree in biology at UMass Boston while working 50-hour weeks. I graduated with a 3.84 GPA. No one from my family was there, but Dr. Sandra Liu, my academic advisor, gave me a hug and told me she was proud of me. It meant more than I thought it would. 6 months later, I got hired as a research assistant at Massachusetts General Hospital in the cardiology department. My job was grunt work at first: data entry, patient intake forms, scheduling follow-ups for clinical trial participants. But I was good at it. I was meticulous. I noticed patterns in patient dropout rates that the senior researchers had missed. I wrote a proposal for a new recruitment protocol that increased enrollment by 23% over 4 months. Dr. Patricia Chen noticed. She promoted me to clinical research coordinator 2 years ago. Now I manage 3 active trials, oversee a team of 4 research assistants, and I'm a co-author on 2 published papers in the Journal of Cardiovascular Medicine. I did all of that without my parents' money, without their approval, without their name. But I never stopped thinking about Natalie. We'd been close once, when we were kids. She used to braid my hair before school, intricate French braids that took 20 minutes. She taught me how to ride a bike in the parking lot behind the elementary school where my mother worked, running alongside me until I found my balance. When I was 9 and broke my arm falling off the jungle gym, Natalie was the one who sat with me in the emergency room, holding my good hand and telling me stories to distract me from the pain. But something shifted when she got to high school. Suddenly, it mattered that her grades were perfect, and mine were just good. It mattered that she got into Boston University and I was going to community college first to save money. It mattered that our parents talked about her future like it was a sure thing and talked about mine like it was a disappointment waiting to happen. By the time she graduated college, we barely spoke, and after that night at the arena, we didn't speak at all. Now, driving to Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Fear. Not for myself. For her. I found the ICU on the 6th floor. The elevator took forever. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I'd pulled off my hospital badge and shoved it in my bag. I didn't want them to see it. Didn't want them to know I'd made something of myself. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and coffee that had been sitting too long. My parents sat in orange plastic chairs near the window. My father's head was in his hands. My mother's eyes were red, but when she saw me, they hardened. "You have some nerve showing up here," she said. "How is she?" I asked. "Why do you care?" My mother stood. She was shorter than I remembered, or maybe I'd just grown taller in her absence. "You haven't been part of this family for 7 years. You cut us off." You refused every attempt we made to reconcile. I stared at her. You called me 47 times in 2 months. Then you stopped. That's not reconciliation. That's giving up. We gave up, my father said, his voice hoarse, because you made it clear you wanted nothing to do with us. You humiliated me in front of 300 people, I said quietly. You called me useless. You said you should have stopped after Natalie. What exactly was I supposed to reconcile with? My mother's face flushed. You've always been so sensitive. It was a joke, Olivia. A joke. It didn't sound like a joke when the entire room went silent, I said. It didn't feel like a joke when Aunt Ellen stopped inviting me to Thanksgiving. That was your choice, my mother snapped. You chose to leave. I chose to survive. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Family of Natalie Ramsey? We all turned. My mother pushed past me, but the nurse held up a hand. Only 2 visitors at a time in the ICU, she said. And she's asking specifically for Olivia. The silence was deafening. That's impossible, my mother said. She hasn't spoken to Olivia in years. She was very clear, the nurse said. She said she needs to talk to her sister. Alone. My father stood. This is ridiculous. We're her parents. I understand, the nurse said, her tone gentle but firm. But this is the patient's request. If you'd like to wait here, I can let you know when she's ready for more visitors. I followed the nurse down a hallway that smelled like bleach and fear. My hands were still shaking. Through the small window in the ICU door, I could see Natalie in the bed, pale as paper, tubes and wires connecting her to machines that beeped softly. The nurse pushed open the door. 15 minutes, she said. Natalie's eyes were closed. Her dark hair, the same color as mine, was tangled on the pillow. Her lips were chapped. There were needle marks on her arms, old ones and new ones, bruises like storm clouds under her skin. Nat, I whispered. Her eyes opened. They were bloodshot, unfocused. It took her a moment to find my face. Liv, she said. Her voice cracked. You came. I sat in the chair beside her bed. Yeah, I came. I didn't think you would. A tear slid down her cheek. I wouldn't have come. If it were me, I wouldn't have come. I didn't know what to say, so I just took her hand. It was cold. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Liv. I should have said something that night. At my graduation, I should have told them to stop. I should have defended you. I was just... Her breath hitched. I was so scared of losing their approval. I thought if I said something, if I stood up for you, they'd turn on me too. And I couldn't. I couldn't risk that. Nat. But they turned on me anyway. She laughed, bitter and broken. 2 years after you left, I told them I wanted to take a year off from my PhD program. I was burned out. I needed a break. And Dad said... She closed her eyes. He said, don't turn into your sister. Don't be a quitter. I felt something crack open in my chest. It got worse after that, Natalie said. Nothing I did was good enough. If I got an A minus, they wanted to know why it wasn't an A. If I published a paper, they wanted to know why it wasn't in a higher-tier journal. I started taking Adderall to keep up. Then Xanax to sleep. Then other things. Stronger things. How long? I asked. 3 years. She opened her eyes. I've been using for 3 years, and they didn't notice. Or they did notice, and they didn't care. As long as I kept performing, as long as I kept being perfect. She squeezed my hand. You were smart to leave. I didn't feel smart, I said. I felt broken. You weren't broken, Natalie said. You were free. The machines beeped. Outside the window, I could hear the murmur of my parents' voices in the waiting room, arguing with the nurse. I need to tell you something, Natalie said. Something they don't know. Okay. When you left, I was mad at you. I thought you were being dramatic. I thought you couldn't handle the truth, that you really were sensitive, like Mom said. She took a shaky breath. But after you left, I found something, in Mom's desk. What? Letters, Natalie said, from your scholarship committee at UMass Boston. You'd been accepted to the honors program. Full ride. They sent the acceptance packet to our house instead of your apartment. Mom intercepted it. The room tilted. What? She never gave it to you, Natalie said. She hid it. Because if you got into the honors program with a full scholarship, it would mean you were just as capable as me, just as smart. And she couldn't have that. She needed you to be the failure so I could be the success. I couldn't breathe. When did you find this? 5 years ago, I confronted her. She told me to mind my own business. She said it was for your own good, that the program would have been too demanding for you, that you needed to learn your limitations. Natalie's voice broke. I didn't tell you because I was afraid. I'm telling you now because I'm done being afraid. I'm done protecting them. For a long moment, I just sat there, holding my sister's cold hand, feeling the weight of 5 years of silence. I'm going to help you, I said finally. I'm going to get you into a treatment program, a good one. I know people at the hospital, addiction specialists, psychiatrists. I can make calls. They won't pay for it, Natalie said. They'll say it's my fault, that I'm weak. I'll pay for it, I said. I have savings, and I'll be there, every step. She started crying then, really crying, her whole body shaking. Why? She whispered. Why would you do that, after everything? Because you're my sister, I said. And because you just did something they never could. What's that? You told the truth. Over the next 4 months, I became intimately familiar with the Massachusetts addiction treatment system. I found Natalie a bed at Walden Behavioral Care in Waltham, a 90-day inpatient program that cost $43,000. I emptied my savings account. I took out a personal loan for the rest. My parents called me exactly once during those 4 months. My mother. I hear you're enabling Natalie's victim narrative, she said. Paying for some expensive rehab so she can blame everyone but herself for her problems. She's getting treatment for opioid addiction, I said. That's not a narrative. That's a medical condition. It's weakness, my mother said. And you're wasting your money. It's my money to waste. She hung up on me. But Natalie stayed. She did the work. She went to group therapy and individual therapy and family therapy, though our parents refused to attend a single session. She learned about triggers and coping mechanisms and the neuroscience of addiction. She celebrated 30 days sober, then 60, then 90. On the day she was discharged, I picked her up in my car, a newer one now, a 2019 Subaru Outback I'd bought with my promotion bonus. She looked different, healthier. Her eyes were clear. Her skin had color again. Thank you, she said as we pulled out of the parking lot. I mean it, Liv. You saved my life. You saved your own life, I said. I just showed up. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I want to do something. What? I want to tell them the truth, all of it. I want them to know what they did to both of us. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Nat, you just got out of rehab. You don't need that stress. I need closure, she said. And so do you. 3 weeks later, I got a phone call from my father. Your mother and I are renewing our vows, he said. No greeting, no how are you, just straight to business. It's our 35th anniversary. We're having a ceremony at the Fairmont Copley Plaza on Saturday, October 12th at 4 p.m. Natalie insisted we invite you. I almost laughed. After 7 years of silence, you're inviting me to a vow renewal? Natalie thinks it would be good for the family, he said stiffly. Your mother agreed. Did she? It's black tie, he said. There will be 150 guests. Please dress appropriately. He hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I called Natalie. I'm not going, I said. I know, she said. That's why I'm going. And I'm going to say everything I should have said 7 years ago. Nat, they need to hear it, Liv, and I need to say it, for both of us. Saturday, October 12th was cold and clear. I didn't go to the ceremony. Instead, I went to work. We had a patient enrollment deadline for a diabetes study, and I'd volunteered to cover weekend hours. At 5:47 p.m., my phone rang. It was Natalie. "It's done," she said. She sounded breathless, shaky, but not scared. What happened? They were renewing their vows. Everyone was there. Aunt Ellen, Uncle Richard, all their friends from the school district, people from Dad's firm. The officiant asked if anyone wanted to share a memory or blessing for the couple. Nat, no. I stood up, she said. I walked to the front. Mom looked so happy. She thought I was going to give some beautiful speech about their perfect marriage. I could picture it. Natalie in a formal dress, standing at the microphone in the Fairmont's grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers overhead, 150 guests watching. "What did you say?" "I told them the truth," Natalie said. "I told them that 7 years ago, at my college graduation, they publicly humiliated my sister in front of 300 people. I told them that Mom intercepted your scholarship acceptance and hid it because she needed you to fail so I could succeed. I told them that I've spent the last 3 years addicted to opioids because their conditional love broke something inside me, and that the only reason I'm alive is because the sister they called useless paid $43,000 to save my life." My throat closed. What did they say? Nothing at first. Everyone was staring. Then Mom stood up and said I was having a mental health crisis, that I wasn't well, that I didn't know what I was saying. And I said, "I'm the clearest I've been in years, and everyone here deserves to know who you really are." Nat! Dad tried to take the microphone from me. Uncle Richard stood up and told him to let me finish. And I finished. I said, "You taught me that love has conditions. You taught me that my worth is measured by my achievements. You taught me that if I stop being perfect, I stop mattering. And when I learned those lessons too well, when I broke under the weight of your expectations, you blamed me for being weak. But Olivia, the daughter you called useless, she showed up. She saved me. And she didn't ask for anything in return. That's what real love looks like." I was crying. I didn't realize I was crying until I tasted salt. "Then what?" I whispered. "Then I left," Natalie said. "And Aunt Ellen followed me out. And Uncle Richard. And 6 other people. They told me they believed me. They said they'd seen it for years but didn't know how to say anything." "Where are you now?" "In my car. In the parking garage. I'm shaking so hard I can't drive yet." "Send me your location," I said. "I'm coming to get you." I found her in the Fairmont's underground parking garage, sitting in her Honda CR-V with the hazard lights on. I parked next to her and got in her passenger seat. She was still in her navy blue dress, mascara smudged, hands trembling. "I did it," she said. "I actually did it." "You did," I said. "I'm so sorry, Liv," she whispered. "I'm so sorry it took me this long." "You did it when you were ready," I said. "That's what matters." We sat there for a long time, in that cold parking garage with the fluorescent lights humming overhead. Then Natalie said, "Do you think they'll ever change?" "No," I said. "People like that don't change. They just find new people to hurt." "So what do we do?" "We let them go," I said. "We build something better." That was 3 months ago. My parents didn't call to apologize. They called to tell me I was no longer welcome at family events, that I'd poisoned Natalie against them, that I was bitter and vindictive and cruel. I hung up on them. I changed my number again, and this time, I didn't grieve. This morning, I woke up at 6:15 a.m. in my apartment in Cambridge, the same studio I moved into 7 years ago, though I've repainted it twice and filled it with plants that actually survive now. I made coffee in the French press Natalie gave me for my birthday last month. I fed my cat, a gray tabby I named Luna because she showed up on my fire escape during a full moon and decided to stay. I went to work. I coordinated patient visits for our cardiovascular trial. I had a meeting with Dr. Chen about our paper draft. We're submitting to Circulation, one of the top cardiology journals in the world. She told me I should consider applying to graduate programs, that I'd make an excellent researcher. At lunch, I met Natalie at a cafe in Kendall Square. She's 5 months sober now. She got a job as a tutor for high school students who are struggling with math and science. She says it's the first job she's had where she doesn't feel like she's performing for approval. "How are you?" she asked. "Good," I said. And I meant it. "I keep thinking about them," she admitted. "I keep wondering if we did the right thing." "We told the truth," I said. "That's always the right thing." "But they're our parents." "Being a parent is more than biology," I said. "It's showing up. It's believing in your kid even when they stumble. It's love without conditions." I reached across the table and took her hand. "They were never really our parents. They were our audition panel." She smiled, sad but true. "Yeah." "Tonight, I'm going to make dinner. Pasta with roasted vegetables, nothing fancy. Natalie's coming over. We're going to watch a movie, something light, something that doesn't make us think too hard. We're going to be sisters in the way we should have been all along." If you're reading this, if you're watching this, and you've ever walked away from people who were supposed to love you unconditionally, but only loved you when you met their conditions, I see you. I know how much it costs to leave. I know how much it costs to stay. Here's what I learned. You don't need anyone's permission to have value. You don't need anyone's validation to be worthy. The people who love you for who you are, not for what you achieve, those are your real family. I also learned this. Saving someone who hurt you doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is show up for someone even when they didn't show up for you. If you've ever had to choose between your peace and someone else's approval, type "I chose peace" in the comments. Or if you stayed and fought for your boundaries inside a broken relationship, type "I fought for both of us. Both are brave. Both are valid." If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.